What is happening, people? Welcome back. It's Tottenham versus Brighton this weekend at the Amex Stadium. I'm delighted to be joined by two Brighton fans for the opposition preview, something we haven't done before. So very, very excited. Lots of amazing Brighton fans to choose between. So that's why we've got two on. So let's introduce them both. Firstly, Matthew, thank you very much for coming on. Tell people a bit about you and what you do.
I'm just on TikTok and Twitter, I suppose. Neighbourhood football. For those of you who haven't seen me before, there's not much else to say, I guess. Social media presence, I suppose.
Lovely stuff. No, thank you for joining us today, Matthew. And Joe, welcome on as well. Hope you're doing well. Talk to people a bit about what you do as well. You know, the Albion Obsessed podcast.
Yeah, so we've been running the podcast now for 4 years. It's been going well. We just do match reaction. We do pre-match shows, etc. We've had Matt on a few times as well, which has always been good to collab with him. But yeah, we do all things Albion. We even done a documentary a couple of years ago, which was pretty fun. If you want to hear more about our old stadium, the Withdean, go back and watch our Withdean years on the Albion Obsessed podcast. Gives you a good history of where Brighton have come from and what we've had to go through to get to where we are now. So yeah, if you want to do that, go for it.
Amazing. I might check that out actually. I didn't know about that. So thank you very much. Thank you both for joining me though. If you're listening on YouTube, please do like and subscribe and get involved. If you're listening on a podcast platform, please drop us a follow and a 5-star review. Shout out to our two partners in the Kitman UK and also Everything Spurs Discord server. So let's get straight into it then, without further ado. Start with you, Matthew. I want to review the season so far in terms of a Brighton point of view. So I can read out the results firstly, then I'll come to you. So here they are in all competitions. So you've got Brighton 1, Fulham 1, the opening day, which is a draw. Everton 2, Brighton 0, so that's a defeat. Oxford 0, Brighton 6 in the Carabao Cup second round. Brighton 2, City 1. Bournemouth 2, Brighton 1. So in the league, 13th are Brighton at the moment, Premier League. One draw, one win, and two defeats, which means 4 points from 4 games in the Premier League in particular, and 4 goals scored, 6 goals conceded. So you have conceded every game, a -2 goal difference so far. So Matthew, what are your overall thoughts a few games into the season?
I think the first couple of games, the performances were there. The Fulham game, we deserved to win, really, but it was a set piece in the final minute, which on the first day of the season is never fun. Second game, Everton, I thought we were quite good first half, and then threw out the window second half. We had chances, and our heads kind of went. City game, very, very good. I thought first half we were decent, contrary to what a lot of people thought, where the plan was to just sit back and absorb pressure, and then second half we went out and pressed City, and that caused some lots of issues in Everton. And then Bournemouth, there wasn't really any positives in that, to be honest. Oxford, it's all well and good to have a 6-0 win, but it's end of the day, it's Oxford. I suppose we had a couple positives from that game. There was Simas, the new striker, and he played at Bournemouth as well, which I suppose was the only positive. But on the whole, I think largely the performances have been okay. I think results probably are fair. Probably not the Fulham game, because we absolutely dominated them, and they were pretty useless for most of the game. Just 13th is about fair, as I say, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. And Joe, do you agree what Matthew's saying in terms of performances there, but maybe not quite reflected sometimes in the results? Because the results suggest a mixed bag for Brighton.
Yeah, I think the consistency of what Fabian Hertzler is trying to achieve just isn't there. We've seen moments of brilliance, and we just need to get to a stage where we can put in 90-minute performances. We need a few of our big players to come back and step up again. Carlos Baleba hasn't really been the same since having a disrupted pre-season, and of course all of the transfer talk around him as well looks to have unsettled things a little bit. So that's slightly frustrating. We need to get him back to his best, and I think Brighton will be back to their consistent best as well. As Matt says, there's been really good performances in parts, but just not for 90 minutes. And that's why we are where we are in the Premier League at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your honesty on that. Joe, sticking with you, based on what you've seen then so far, what would you say the aim is, or, trajectory after you've seen in 5 games? What can you achieve this season realistically?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's maybe a bit too early to to tell what we're going to go on to achieve this season. As I say, that consistency needs to come back sharp. If it doesn't, we're going to find ourselves a long way behind the teams that are pulling away at the top already. But I'll go throw a cliche at you. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So we've got lots of games left, lots of points left to win. And in true Brighton fashion, we'll lose to Bournemouth and then go and beat Spurs and Chelsea, more than likely. So that's just what we do. When everyone's down and when everyone's negative, we seem to pull something out of the bag. So I don't think we should underestimate this team yet, and I don't think we should be doing down on what Fabian Hertzler is trying to achieve, because I think when he does achieve what he wants to, it's going to be special. So I'm patiently waiting for things to come together.
That's the way to be, and you're absolutely right. Rome wasn't built in a day, was it? There's another cliche to throw at you as well. And 5 games isn't going to define your season, is it? In a good or bad way, it's going to give you an idea, but nothing more than that. So thank you, Matthew. What do you think Brighton should be aiming for this season, and has that kind of aim changed based on what you've seen so far?
The aim to begin with was European football. We all want European football. Hertzler said we want to finish top 5. I think the standards have been very much raised at the football club by Roberto De Zerbi and what he achieved with us, which in itself has been a problem for Fabian Hertzler, because prior to us, he only had 18 months managerial experience. So when he comes in and fails to meet these expectations, there is inevitably going to be people on his back, and there's I think a lot of unfair. Well, there is fair criticism, because I think with Hertzler, he has some very good ideas, but how he gets them across and how he gets the players to do them in games, very, very different.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you. I mean, hopefully it does work out for you over time. I think when you're at your best, you're very, very good to watch, and you can take the game to anybody. But on Tottenham now, Joe, can I come back to you? What have you made of Tottenham start to the season, and how do you think Thomas Frank has started the job at Tottenham?
Yeah, I mean, with Spurs, obviously, I know I'm talking to a Spurs fan. I don't want to come across disrespectful. You always think that if they start well, that something's going to happen, and obviously all the Spursy jokes and stuff like that. But I think Thomas Frank is coming in to change the narrative. I think he's a fantastic manager. He sets his teams up really well to first of all not concede goals, and then going forwards you can cause problems. So I think it's a fantastic appointment, and I think he's going to do really well for you guys. I've always respected what he's done with Brentford and the budget and the wage structure that they've got. So given the tools at Tottenham, obviously a big change for you guys at the top with Daniel Levy going. So it's a completely new dawn for Spurs. And Thomas Frank is the man to take you further, I think. So, it's exciting times for you guys, and maybe a little bit disappointing for us that we can't just sit there and laugh at you. But you've done well.
No, thank you. I appreciate your honesty again. That's just what we want. Thank you. And for Thomas Frank and Tottenham, it is 5 games, 4 wins, 4 clean sheets, an impressive 9 goals scored and just 1 conceded. Matthew, are you surprised how quickly Thomas Frank has hit the ground running? And do you agree with Joe that he could come crashing back down, maybe despite Thomas Frank starting well, because of what Spurs have been like in previous seasons?
Yeah, I'll just mirror what Joe said, really. But I think Thomas Frank, I'm big time on the Thomas Frank hype train. He adapts to his opposition, and he's consistent as well. I think that Bournemouth game was a one-off, and Bournemouth are a fantastic side. They really are. They take the game to opposition, and maybe Frank wasn't expecting that. But yeah, no, you just look at the results speak for themselves, really. The 4 wins out of 5 so far, and the City win and all the rest as well. You lot have been fantastic, and the business has been really, really good over the summer. Now you've got more investment coming in. Champions League football is looking bright.
It is 100%. Thank you, Matt. Joe, I want to know your answer to this. Again, you've been very honest, so I hope you will be again here. How do you view Tottenham as a club? The supporters, is it a case of you respect them, you envy them, don't really care, and you see them like any other club? I'm interested to see how you view us.
I mean, Spurs aren't really a club that I've had any issues with. I think the one problem was the game at your place a couple of seasons ago in our European season, where VAR seemed to absolutely adore you guys. But I don't think I've ever had any negative run-ins with Spurs fans. I think Spurs fans have always been really easy to talk to, and for the most part are quite realistic and down to earth as to what their club want to achieve. Obviously, you guys had a massive result last season, winning the Europa League, and I think I was sort of willing you to do that because you've taken a massive battering from opposition fans, no trophies, dusty trophy cabinet, etc. But it's great to see that a team are going to begin to upset that sort of top 3, top 4, just like we want to do, just like Newcastle want to do. But obviously Spurs are in a much better position to be able to do that financially, and the fan base you've got, the history you've had. So, I don't have any sort of problems with Spurs fans. I think you're quite nice people.
That's good to hear. Right back at you. Thank you very much, Joe. Matthew, have you got any past memories? Can be good, can be bad. I assume you will choose the good ones of playing Tottenham that you'd like to share from a Brighton point of view.
Yeah, not necessarily good ones, as Joe said with the 2-1. I think it was a horrid day. My head was on. I don't think head was on Mars is the right way to put it. I just never liked Conte either. And what's his name? His assistant that was
Stellini, yeah.
Stellini. Yeah, he's a bright mouth. But on the whole, again, apart from them, no issue. I really like Ange, and I like how he's got a job straight away back in English football.
Yeah.
Before that, I don't know, Jose, Poch, you've always been seen as the underdog, I suppose. And it's good to see you lot win Europa League last year and break that curse and put more misery on Man United, which is always good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Matthew. Joe, have you got any memories that stand out to you? Obviously, we got that 2-1 game that you did lose, but I'm just thinking maybe if you go back a few years between Tottenham and Brighton, something that stands out to you over the years.
Yeah, I think the 4, I think it was 4-2, maybe 4-3 a couple of seasons ago, under Roberto De Zerbi was a fantastic game. The comeback last year was incredible as well. Obviously 2-0 down at half time and rallied, and that's what Fabian Hurtzler seems to like to do. If we're very much a team of two halves sometimes. But I think the standout one has to be the Aaron Connolly brace. I know what happened after with Aaron Connolly wasn't fantastic, and he had a little bit of a fall from grace. But I think that was just such a fantastic day. It wasn't nice to see Hugo Lloris go down injured. I was sort of like right behind that, and it didn't look good at all. But other than that, like the result for us, I think it was at a point in our history where we were becoming a team that would like to challenge the top 6. So it was the start of our journey, really. And I look back at that as such a fantastic result, which then propelled us on. I know we didn't have a great season that season. I think we only just stayed up. But I look back on it thinking, yeah, that was the game where I thought we could really take it to the top teams.
Thank you, Joe. Next, the question I want to ask, I'm very interested to hear. And the question is, what one Spurs player, if you could only choose one, no more, no less, would you take at Brighton? And the thing is, what's interesting about this question is you always got to think about kind of where you think in the team you'd like to improve in terms of maybe quality, in terms of depth. It can purely just be maybe a Tottenham squad player you'd like for the bench, or it could be starting 11. People tend to approach this question a bit differently. Some just go for the best and something more strategically. Matthew, I'll start with you. Have you got anyone that you think, if you could choose just one, that you pick at the moment?
Mate, take your pick. I'm having either one of Van der Ven, Romero, or Spence, or maybe a Dodgy as well. But point being defenders, because our defense has been hopeless. A lot of games this season. I don't think Van Hecker's been up to standard. But Dunk's been okay. Dunk's been better. But last game he had a honker again. Van der Ven just adds that pace, and Romero just adds that just all-round solidarity, really. He's a captain, leader, and arguably one of the best defenders in Europe, you could say as well. in the last year or so, but I'd say Van de Ven every day of the week. That pace is just absolutely outstanding, and the timing of the tackle, his passing's good, his carrying's good. It ticks every box for what Hertzer would want.
Absolutely, yeah. I could see him thriving as well in that Brighton team. So thank you, Matthew. Good chat with that one. Joe, what about for you? Have you got anyone different in mind?
Yeah, I mean, I'd go to the other end of the pitch and I'd probably take Richarlison for our team. I think he would be a fantastic addition. I think given that we only have Welbeck and obviously Seamas and Costulas coming through, we need to be patient with them. But I think if you take that pressure away from Richarlison of playing for Spurs, I think he could maybe unlock his Everton form again, and work alongside a very experienced striker in Danny Welbeck and push on. I just think it would be something different for us going forwards, and it's a position that we don't have much option for. So yeah, I think I'd pick him or Solanke, but he'd probably be a lot more expensive.
Very, very true. They can't stay fit either at the moment. So, well, Richarlison's injury record isn't great, having said that. But no, it's an interesting shout. That's a bit, I would say, outside the box one. So it's interesting. What I mean in terms of different approaches with the questions. Some people are quick to choose the best, but also some think, look, where are we short on the pitch? So I like both your answers. Thank you. And on to the game itself. Matthew, can I come back to you? How are you feeling ahead of this one, Saturday's game?
Pretty negative, judging off last result. Not very optimistic, but we we get a bad result and we tend to bounce back a lot, and there's just a bit of a negative feeling around the fan base at the moment. Not a huge amount of backing for Hertzer, which again I think is harsh. I just think that's just the standards that have been raised. But I think in a lot of games you can see an idea, and as I said, it's very different between the idea and what's on the pitch. So,
Yeah.
and also with Frank, how he sets up to his opposition, could well line up with a back three and sort of sit back. We typically do better against teams that want to have the ball. So City, for example, and just sort of counter that. I think we're better out of possession, than in possession, definitely.
Okay, good shout. Thank you, Matthew. Joe, how do you feel about this game? Are you also feeling more negative at this moment, or have you got a little bit of optimism that Brighton can turn it around and get a win?
Yeah, I think the optimism is there just because, as Matt said, we seem to have a bounce back ability that is to be admired. I think Frank will fancy his chances coming to the Amex given our results and our form, and want to come out and play. So if we can soak up that pressure and hit you guys on the counter, we've got a fantastic sort of counter press in Yankuba Minte, and obviously if we release Karim Matoma down your right hand side, it would be extremely dangerous. So I think I'm hopeful because of the bounce back ability, but I'm also slightly fearful that you could really hurt us because you guys have been fantastic this season.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I've watched Brighton a little bit this season, but mainly last season. I've seen them a lot again over the last few years. Different managers, from Potter to De Zerbi to different managers, different ideas. And one thing I'm interested to get your thoughts. I see a recurring theme with Brighton is quite often the performance is there, but I look at you and I think, you can't quite take your chances, and then there's a defensive error, maybe because you haven't taken that chance. So I just feel like with Brighton as well, it's very hard to predict. Although I think that performance is often there, is Brighton going to take the chance or not? And I mean, the Potter thing, is the whole, wasn't it? Not taking your chances. And I look at you under Hertz, and I absolutely agree from outside. I look at you and go, actually, you play well, or you could do really well, but it's just, I suppose, getting that win over the line, scoring goals. And I just feel like at least we got the likes of Dunk. I really like him, but it could just be me. But I always look at him and think, I'm afraid you've got a mistake in you. But that might be slightly harsh. Matthew, what would you make of that assessment?
Spot on. Absolutely spot on. As I said, performances largely have been there this season, but just I feel like we're conceding a lot of conditional goals. Like I said on Twitter, like you look at the replay back, it was, he didn't win this duel. This pass was incorrect. Mistake there, mistake here. Is ultimately it's not good enough. And is that on the manager? Maybe not, but I suppose what is on the Magic, as I've said, I'm saying as I've said a lot, but how you get your idea across, and that hasn't been there. The clarity hasn't been there as such.
Thank you. Joe, any Spurs players that you fear in particular in this game? We speak about ones that you'd want to join Brighton, but who in particular can cause you think, the most problems?
I think that the speed of Van de Ven could obviously, stop what we want to do going forwards. I don't think, except for Minte and Matoma, we're not overly mobile going forwards. Given Danny Welbeck's fall from grace a little bit this season, I don't think he's been anywhere near at the level that we would want, and I think that can be excused, obviously, given that he's 34 and he's not getting any younger. So your solid defence could just completely shut us out, and then going forward, you guys have got some incredible attacking players: Mohamed Kudus, Brennan Johnson, etc. Solanke, who can score goals. So slightly worried that you guys will just outclass us a little bit, given I don't think we've had a very good record against Frank anyway. So given that you've got some better players than what Brentford have had, you could then go and just really hurt us. Probably the main two would be Van de Ven and Kudus that I would highlight.
Okay, thank you for that. And you'll be glad to know that Solanke should be out for this game through injury.
He won't be scoring a penalty against us.
No, exactly, no. I mean, he's apparently getting closer, but I'll be very surprised if he features in this game, considering we've now got two other strikers at the club in Moani and Richarlison. Matthew, to flip the question almost, who do you think can hurt Tottenham from a Brighton point of view, if you had to pinpoint anyone in particular or a couple of players?
I'm going to go a bit different and say Yasin Ayari. I think his ball retention is going to be very, very important at keeping possession. You look at Minte as well. You look at Rutter, Gruder, none of which really did anything last game. I would usually say Baleba, but as Joe said, he's been pants this year. And I don't think Maxim de Kuiper's back. Is he, Joe? Do you know? I haven't seen much, if anything.
I saw one report, but I don't know how accurate it is, that he didn't sustain any meaningful damage. So I don't know what that means. Whether he'll be back or not, I don't know. But I would much rather have Kalioglu in over him at the moment.
Yeah, he was good, actually. He was good against... It was probably maybe our only positive player against Bournemouth. But yeah, no, back to De Kuiper, his timing of runs is excellent. He's got really, really good left foot as well. So it'll be a bit of a miss if he is out. Definitely in an attacking sense, but just pace of Minte on transition, and he's always a dangerous player, Minte.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, he absolutely is. I always look at him and think, if you play well, he does really excel when he's at his best. So no, thank you. And Matthew, also with you and talk about your predicted Brighton 11. We'll get on to maybe what you want to see. But for now, what do you think that Fabian Hertzer will go with if you had to predict 1 to 11?
Realistically, yeah, I'll go Spartan goal, Dunk, Van Hecker. I'd like to see Veltman again. Kadioglu, Ayari. I don't want it to be, but it'll be Milner. I would have thought so, with Hinchwood being out and Baleba being useless. I'd like to see Rutter, Minte, Matoma, and again, well back up front. I'd like Simas. Maybe he's not quite match fit again, but realistically, yeah, that's probably not my favoured.
Okay, what would you change out of that then if you were in Fabian Hertz's position?
This is just head loss entirely, but I don't think Verbruggen has been very good at all this season. He's popped on wrists, and his distribution has been useless. And so I don't know if it's justified to drop Verbruggen for Steele, because he's more or less exactly the same, but better distribution. But he was good against Oxford, so why not just chuck him in? I'd give Coppola or Bascaglia a run out as well. Coppola in particular never really seems to sprint because he's always in the right position. Saw that against Oxford. He's very, very mature in terms of his positioning, and his ball plan's good as well. Dominant in the air and duels. Ideally, I'd like De Kuiper, but I think he's injured. I'll tell you what, I'd probably put Weaver in if he is fit in midfield as well, because you get that calm presence, the tempo sort of dictation. So we threw alongside Ayari, probably Simas up front as well. That's all I change, I suppose.
Okay, appreciate that, Matthew. And Joe, can I get your predicted 11 first that you think so we'll go with?
I think it would be Verbruggen. Back four. Let's have a think. Veltman, Dunk, Van Hecker, and Kadioglu, much the same as Matt said. In midfield, I think it will be Ayari and Baleba. And then ahead of them, Minte, Rutter, Mitoma, and Welbeck again. So it's pretty much the same, just having Baleba in there. I think, as I say, he hasn't been overly good this season, but I think that the trust of what he has achieved with us already will be enough for him to get the nod. Obviously, Milner's he hasn't been fantastic, but he's done a job. He's done a job when he's needed to. So that might get him the nod ahead of Baleba, but I think given what Baleba is and what he can be, I think he would be a huge miss to the starting 11 if he gets back to his best, obviously. So, yeah.
Yeah, I really like Carlos Baleba. I think he's a very, very good player, but maybe he's got his head, in the wrong place. Not quite sure. He saw strong links, didn't you, to Manchester United, especially towards the end of the window, whether they go in for him next summer. Probably, I wouldn't say January. I can't see that type of player leaving in a window out of any club. But, Joe, out of that, what would you change? You heard what Matt had to say. He'd make quite a few changes to it.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's time yet to completely drop Bart Verbruggen, but I wouldn't be totally against seeing Steely in there. As Matt said, he was fantastic against Oxford, and I think he's just maybe that little bit more reliable. You know what you're getting from Jason Steele, rather than Bart Verbruggen can have a mistake in him from time to time. I would still have Veltman at right back. I think defensively he's fantastic, and brings a level of calm to our back four. I'd go Van Hecker, and I don't think I would start Dunk. I think I would have Buscaglia in there instead, and then Kadioglu left back even. Midfield the same, Ayari and Baleba, and then it would be Minte, Rutter, Mitoma. I think they're the three first names on the team sheet, really. And then ahead of them, I would like to see Seamas from the start. As Matt says, I'm not sure if he's 100% ready for that, or whether Fabian Hurtzler deems him ready enough yet. But I think he can definitely offer a lot more than what Welbeck's offered this season already.
Okay, thank you. I mean, Welbeck's a player that's been around, hasn't he, for quite a few years. Joe, we will stick with you and go to score prediction now. So what do you think the score will be, and who do you think is going to score?
Gosh, I've always vowed when I go on opposition podcasts to go with my heart. So I am going to say 2-1 to the good guys. I think you guys will score first. It'll probably be an early sort of goal within the first 20 minutes. I think maybe Kudus will score against us. And then I think we'll again come back in the second half and rally and get the Amex on their feet a little bit. I think we're quite a reactionary fan base at home, aren't we, Matt? So hopefully the team give us something to cheer, and when they do give us something to cheer, we do tend to get behind them. So
if.
Yeah, exactly.
Joe, who do you think is going to score for you for Brighton? You think Kudus for Tottenham?
Oh yeah, Minte and Rutter.
Okay, nice. Thank you very much. And Matthew, your score prediction and your scorers?
I never do good predictions.
Never do I.
Nor do a lot of people, to be fair, but my jinx is unmatched, I promise you. So I'm going to go with a Spurs winner, 2-0. I can just see the Amex just flooding and people leaving 70 minutes and us just not creating anything. Just a typical sort of home loss, and Hurtzler out on Twitter, and yeah, just dramatic head loss, basically.
Who do you think will get those two Tottenham goals? Do you think Kudus would be a shout?
Yeah, definitely. You got. I think one thing about Spurs this season, you've got goals from all over the pitch. You've got Bergvall Van de Ven score last game. You
Mm.
look really good on set pieces, which is an area that we've really struggled in this season. I can't see it. Can't see us getting anything, to be honest.
Appreciate your honesty. And Matthew, sticking with you, if I said to you now, here's a point, would you take that and would you take the draw?
Oh, yes. Every day of the week.
You would, yeah?
Depends on context. I feel like we have
Cool.
a lot of games, a lot of draws where I'd say 90% of the time we're the ones unhappy with the draw and we're the better side. We dominated, but we haven't stuck away our chances. Very rarely do we get a point where we're like, okay, yeah, you know what, I'll take that.
Yeah, so many times I think with you that you're cruising the game, you look comfortable. In my opinion, should be 2-0 up and you're only 1-0 up. And then, they talk about 2-0 being a dangerous score. Well, 1-0 is even more dangerous. I think that's proof for Brighton anyway. And even when you have been 2-0 up, it's not quite been enough. I feel like you just can't quite get over the line. But I think defensively, there's always a mistake, as I said earlier, and just being clinical and getting that further. But thank you, Matthew, for that. Joe, would you also take the point if I said to you right now, a draw and move on? 5 points on the board?
Again, to echo Matt, I think context is incredibly important, but on paper, I think it would be a decent enough result for us to sort of regather our thoughts a little bit and move on to, obviously we then got the Carabao Cup against Barnsley, and then we got Chelsea away, so it would be a slight confidence booster, just sort of having that level of calm amongst the fan base. As Matt says, I think if we lose, I think there's going to be absolute carnage. So yeah, I think I would take a point just for a bit of peace on Twitter, really.
Love it.
There never is. It's like
No, even if we win, they're like, oh, someone said, oh, Hertzler got bailed out by 4 substitutes against City. Who made the substitutes?
It's his game plan. I mean, I've said plenty against City. The plan was to sort of sit back and absorb pressure in the first half, which we did well. People were saying we were bad, and look, we were bad in possession by all means, and a bit wasteful. But then second half, we came out, we pressed them aggressively, which I thought was part of a clear game plan, and a lot of people couldn't see that.
I think you've had a tough start to the season in terms of fixture-wise anyway. I will say that. I think it's gone your way in terms of computer. But let's go on to a little section I call kind of your Brighton memories and almost like identity and kind of history as a fan. So, Joe, I will start with you. What's your, you can choose. Actually, tell you what, I'll give you one. What's your earliest memory supporting Brighton?
Probably my dad forcing Albion shirt with skin on me when I was 3 years old and not really understanding what on earth this blue and white shirt was. I mean, I was slightly late to the party. My dad tried his absolute best to get me into football as early as he could. But a few personal things happened. I grew up away from Brighton, so I didn't have that emotional connection to the town until a little bit sort of later on in my sort of early teens, when I was about 12, 13. That's when I started really taking notice. And my one of my first proper memories is that League One winning side back in 2011. I think we were just such an incredible sort of upset, because Southampton were the ones that should have run away with the league. I think there was a comment from Nigel Adkins saying, well, if Brighton can keep up with us, then it will be a title race. And then I think we won the league by a gap of 7 points. So that was quite sweet. I remember the celebrations down on Brighton seafront were absolutely fantastic. I remember Gus Poyet screaming to the fans, "We're effing brilliant," when there was like loads of kids in the crowd. So yeah, it was absolute carnage. And then obviously moving into the Amex was a fantastic thing. To move away from a 7,000 seater stadium to then get more of the community into watching the club. And I think from then, the love for the club and the city is just sort of gone into each other. I think that the city used to be, so I'm talking about the city council, used to be embarrassed to have Brighton and Hove Albion, but now they're proud to have us. And I think that's a massive testament to the fans that have obviously stuck by the club and fought for this club through thick and thin. and on to now with new generation of fans coming through. You walk through Brighton, you see Brighton shirts. You don't see Chelsea shirts, Arsenal shirts, Spurs shirts, and I think that's just incredible. And the community aspect of this club is the most special thing, and we're very lucky to have a club that champion that sort of mentality.
It's good. No, well said. Thank you, Joe. Matthew, slightly different, but you can bring it all into one. What's your favourite memory supporting Brighton?
There's a lot.
Go for it.
Favorites. Wow, that's a tough question. I mean, you can't argue the 16-17 promotion season. Forest in the play or going into the playoffs in 2014. Wow, that was 11 years ago. Wow. Also 17-18 beating United, staying up. 18-19 staying up again. Potter years weren't exactly great to watch at times. And then Europa League under De Zerbi, and going to Athens as well has to all be up there. But one of my favourites was, I've got to say, Forest away in, not the one last season, quite obviously, but the one where we beat Forest 3-2. We were 10 men backs against the wall for 70 odd minutes. Not 70, sorry, 25, 30 minutes. I don't know how we didn't concede. And yeah, Forest scored a penalty in sort of 65th, 70th, dunk sent off. Backs against the wall, bang, defended, 3-2 win, final whistle blows, and De Zerbi charges onto the pitch, whole squad runs to their end, and that you got that sort of family feel and the togetherness in that squad where everyone was playing for the club, for the fans, for the result. It just felt like such a special moment.
It's good. So it should be. I mean, I won't bring up your result last season. I mean, talk about anomalies. I think that was, well, you'd think definitely one of them. But Matthew, we'll stay with you. Who's your all-time favourite Brighton player? If you could pinpoint one or a couple.
Knockout next. Anthony Knockout.
Okay,
Easy,
good shout.
easy.
I like his passion. I think good quality as well. Thank you, Joe. What about you for player?
I mean, it's so hard to argue with Anthony Knockout. He was our magician for us. He embodied what the club was trying to achieve, and he dragged this football club to the top of the championship. I know, obviously, we finished second in the end, but he was easily, alongside Glenn Murray, one of the main reasons as to why we got promoted that year. And the legacy he left on this football club, obviously what happened with him whilst he was at this football club was extremely emotional, and I think he's got that bond with us because of how supportive the club and the fans were at that time. But just to be different, I think Anthony Knockout's on another pedestal, and alongside that pedestal, I would put Pascal Gross there as well. I think if you talk about legend, you talk about a player that defines an era in your football club. And when you look back at Brighton in the Premier League, Pascal Gross is that constant up until obviously last season. And I think we'll look back at our first 7-8 years in the Premier League, and the first player that will come to your head will be Pascal Gross, obviously Lewis Dunk as well, with Dean to Wembley, legend for us. But Pascal Gross for me just embodied what it was to fight for a club no matter your pace. He had incredible technical ability, and I think in his time was probably one of the most underrated players in Premier League history. So yeah, he's fantastic, and I think we miss him a lot.
Mr. Consistent, I think he always was. Thank you. Joe, can I ask you who your all-time favourite Brighton manager is and why?
Graham Potter. No. All-time favourite manager. Chris Hughton's the obvious one. I think obviously getting us promoted that year and stabilising us in the Premier League. I know he had a bit of a wobble at the end, and that's why we moved on to Graham Potter. I think I'm going to go for Gus Poyet. Just I think his passion on the sidelines. I can't tell you how many times he got sent off and up to the stands. His post-match comments were always absolute cinema, and I think he was the man that made this football club realise that we are so much more than what the media told us we were. I think he knew that this club could go further. He mentioned about this club having a glass ceiling, and I don't think that rubbed fans the right way. But I think that's just because he really truly believed that we could achieve more. And he was the start of that journey on to where we are now. So I think I'd put it down to Gus Poyet.
Thank you. Matthew, who do you say is the all-time favourite Brighton manager?
Roberto De Zerbi. Nah, just again, easy. He raised the standards like no one ever has at this football club before. When Potter left, we all thought it was doom and gloom, and the first few results were, a draw away at Liverpool, very, very good. But then the next couple, I think it was Spurs and I don't know, Forest, where we had a lot of shots but didn't score. And then there was Chelsea, the 4-1 game, where he showed his true self, his true ideas, and from there just took off, and we all fell in love with him. And it was emotional on the last day of the 23-24 season. The previous day it was announced he was going to leave at the end of the season. And that man had given us memories that we never ever thought we'd have. I never thought I'd be getting tear gassed in Athens on an away day. And I never thought we'd be coming back from 2-0 down at the Velodrome. Just memories. Yeah, as I say, he raised the standards, but unfortunately that has taken a toll on Fabian Hurst, I think. But I would have him back in a heartbeat, Roberto De Zerbi. Everything about that man. The passion, like I say, the way he charged over to the away end after a 3-2 win at Forest away. Never seen anything like it.
It's passion. It's what you want. And great tactician as well. But before we wrap up with some end of season predictions, I've got one more question because I can tell Brighton means a lot to you both, and so it should. But let's start with you, Matthew, on this. If you had to put into words what Brighton means to you personally, what would you say?
In the blood. I started supporting Brighton. I've actually lived. Me and my dad actually haven't lived anywhere near Brighton. We're season ticket holders. We make the 1 hour and a quarter journey down every week. But it's because of my granddad as well. My granddad was a Brighton fan. Just in the blood, and his last game was the game we qualified for Europe as well, which was very, very fitting. And just there's not much more I can say than in the blood.
No, that's good. No, thank you, Matthew. It's nice to hear. Joe, what about for you? What does it mean?
I think it means family. It means community. I think I've been going to the Amex with my mum as a season ticket holder for the last 14 years. It was something we started to do because my mum's a foster carer, and they sort of said to us that the agency said that it's something, you guys need time, because I was 14 at the time, so I needed time with my mum, and that was really special for me to be able to get a season ticket out of them. That was great, but also to have that connection and to something that has become such a constant in my life. And no matter what the results are, your football club will always be there. And the friends I've made through supporting the club are lifelong friends. Obviously, I started doing the podcast 4 years ago, and I've made friends from there. I've connected to fans all over the world that are starting to love this club just as much as we are. So I think, that aspect of community, I will always beat that drum, and I will always make sure that this community is the safest place it can be, because I think that's what makes us so special.
That's nice. A nice story as well. And I get from you both about the importance of Brighton and it would do with the community, and that's how it should be. And as like kind of a top six club fan, as happy as I am with my club, as much as I love my club, I do feel that sometimes you forget about the fans, you forget about the community just a touch. And the club does a lot, don't get me wrong, for the local Tottenham food bank and for the area. But what I'm talking about is, for example, you go to Villarreal and the cheapest ticket you can find is 70, 75 quid. And then we can't quite sell the stadium out. And I believe that doesn't help the team. So, community is always really important. And I think sometimes you need to remember that football will be nothing and your club will be nothing without the supporters. And I think some clubs right up here do forget that. But let's end with some end of season predictions. Can we agree, both of you? Really hard to predict in this moment. You can't get a lot from 5 games, but we get a little bit more, than we would at the start of the season when we do these end of season predictions. Hence why I still ask. Joe, I will start with you, and we start with Tottenham firstly. Where do you think Tottenham will finish in the Premier League?
I think Spurs will finish 5th this season. No rhyme or reason. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be a Tottenham expert. You're definitely the Tottenham expert here, but that's my feeling. And I assume you're going to want Brighton prediction as well, are you?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Can I get your Brighton prediction as well?
Goodness me. It's tough. It's really tough because if you don't sit here and say Europe, Brighton fans will clip me and go, "Oh, you're not believing in the club." Or if you sit here and say we're going to finish 11th, you're too negative. So I think based on the start of the season, we're going to sort of just about miss out on Europe again, and I think we'll finish 9th.
Okay, so still going top half. Thank you, Joe, for that one. Matthew, you're going to get both from you, starting with Tottenham, please.
I've got you guys 4th, and
Wow, okay.
I've got Arsenal in 5th, which is
Oh,
going to be
lovely.
very, very controversial for some
Wow.
Arsenal fans. I doubt you have any listening, but
True.
yeah, I just see a lot in Thomas Frank in particular, the organisation, the way he's come in and embedded his style instantly, and the players buy into him, the fans, everything's starting to come together for Spurs. With Brighton, I think 8th to 10th, judging off our start, to be honest. I'm quite pessimistic, to be honest. I don't think the squad's very balanced and hasn't been, but luckily we've brought in a new sporting director and technical director as well, so hopefully they can sort things out. But yeah, I think errors are a big issue at the moment, and errors leading to goals specifically. So if we can sort that out, then we won't be conceding silly goals, won't be conceding as many goals, obviously, and set pieces as well is a very important area in football. So just sort it out, really. We've got a tough run of fixtures. Let's see.
It sounds crazy, but it's probably the same with a few clubs. I always look at Brighton and I actually fancy them more in tougher games. Like, you've got Tottenham, you've got Chelsea. I back you more than like if you come up against, I don't know, a newly promoted team, let's say away. I don't know why, but and it's some aspects Tottenham are similar, but I always think with Brighton that games you don't expect them to win, like you say, you go to Chelsea, I'll give you a fair chance in that. So thank you very much both for coming on. Wish you all the best for the season. Let's go through and see if you can find them, both of these guys, on the socials. We'll start with you, Matthew. Thank you. Where can people follow you?
Maybe Football on TikTok, MJ Avery on Instagram and Twitter as well.
Lovely stuff. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it, Matthew. Thank you. And Joe, thanks as well for coming on. Where can people find you and talk to people again a little bit more about the podcast and just exactly where they can find it, and if you have any plans coming as well?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, thank you for having me, Harry. I absolutely love what you're doing, mate, and keep it all up. It's great stuff. For myself, you can find me on X at Sayers BHAFC, and then on YouTube and Spotify, etc. You can find the Albion Obsessed podcast. We're going to be planning to do. We've done a giveaway at the start of the year. We're planning to do another one at the end of the season as well. So if you are a Brighton fan listening to this, come over and join the Albion Obsessed. Oh, I don't want to say that family, Albion Obsessed family, Albion Obsessed subscribers list, and yeah, come and listen about just loads of people rambling about football.
Lovely stuff. Thank you both. Wish you, as I said, all the best for yourself and also for Brighton this season. You know who I am, guys. So please do follow me at Harry Scarfe 22. Follow both these guys across all socials. If you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, listen on the podcast platform after. Please drop us a 5-star review and a follow. Again, shout out to both our partners, everything Spurs and the Kitman. But thank you very much. Hope everyone enjoys this game and come on, you Spurs.